Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome everybody with the universal Islamic greeting of peace, mercy, and the blessings of Allah be upon all of you. And I welcome you to this event. Inshallah, we had a little preview of some political speeches, but this afternoon, we're going to be discussing Islam and hip-hop. We're going to be discussing religion and culture. Now, Islam and religion has always found an expression in culture. And as Muslims, we're very familiar with different forms and aspects of culture. In fact, as people living in a multicultural society, we're very familiar with interacting with different cultures, seeing that the way that people do different things from different parts of the world. Davis is a very international city. In fact, there's even a place called the International House, where we can go and interact with people from different aspects, from different lifestyles, different points of view, and different places. And culture is important for one particular reason. Culture is something that responds to the unique generational, geographical, social, financial, dietary, and political needs of a particular people. And that's the academic definition for you. But if we break it down into a little bit more simplistic way, our culture is like a pair of glasses. If I'm wearing my glasses, it helps me see the world in a particular way, right? It's my outlook, my vision for the world. And culture is like those pair of glasses. If I give my glasses to you, you may not see the world in the same way. It may be a little blurry. It may make your eyes hurt. So something that fits one person is not necessarily something that fits everybody. So my culture is a type of truth. It's a truth with a lowercase t. It's not a universal truth. But inshallah, with those little individual personal truths, we can see the bigger truth. The truth that doesn't change. The truth with a capital T. So one of the problems that comes up, and many of us experience this, being in the Islamic and Muslim community, is that sometimes we get culture confused with religion. And we refer to the verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-Hujurat. It says, "O mankind, we created you from a single pair, male and female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know each other, not that you may despise each other. Verily the most honored amongst you in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous." So in essence, it's telling us, do the things that you do. Eat in the way that you like to eat. Wear the type of clothes that you like to wear. Express yourselves in the way that you like to express yourself. But keep in mind that we only come together, that the most important way that we come together is on righteousness. It's with good deeds. It's with knowledge of God, knowledge of Allah. And we do this that we may interact, we may learn new ways of doing things, that we may be enlightened, that we may come across new discoveries, not that we may hate each other, not that we may despise one another. So one of the things that often occurs, some of us may be immigrants from other countries, is that there's the conflict of the culture from the country that we came from, that we immigrated from, or the culture from the place where our parents came from. As African Americans, as Latino Americans, as people who have different cultural backgrounds, we may have an ideal of what we're supposed to live up to be, quote unquote, that particular culture. Even as a convert, a lot of us in this room today are convert Muslims. And when we converted to Islam, we went through a phase, a period of time, where we thought that if we wore the Pakistani clothes, or if we wore the Moroccan clothes, that it made us more spiritual, made us more religious. If we dressed like a Saudi, that made us more Islamic. So we saw that we were trying, in many different ways, we tried to adopt cultures that aren't necessarily our own, and may not necessarily be a good fit for the environment that we're living in. So as we find ourselves as Muslims in America, and as the the Islamic religion is growing. It's finding new needs in order to meet the geographical, the political, the social needs of the community here. So what we're proposing is what is called a paradigm shift. Not only changing the way that we do things, but changing the way that we see things. And if you're not familiar with what a paradigm shift is, it's a new pair of glasses. Let us start to see the world in a different way. Change our small truths, our lowercase truths, so that we can see the bigger truth, Islam, in a better and clearer way. So communication, storytelling, sharing information, preserving history and poetry is what we're talking about tonight. And these things are common to every great culture, every great civilization. The purpose of a poet, of a storyteller, was to bring information from one part of the world, one part of the town, one part of the country, to another part. This is obviously before Facebook, Twitter, all this stuff. But the writer, the storyteller, he commanded an audience with his eloquence, his style, and his verse. And one of the highest forms of poetry and storytelling is not one that just brings information, but it's one that teaches morals, values, that leads to enlightenment, one that brings you from a lower state to a higher state. And now we take it to a higher level. And let me not be misunderstood. We never consider the Quran, the words of Allah, as a form of poetry. But let's look at the unique circumstances in which the Quran itself was revealed. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, like all prophets, had miracles, right? But the biggest miracle in Islam is that of the Quran. And why is that so? One of the characteristics of the Arab culture at the time that Islam came about, the time when Prophet Muhammad lived, was that they were known for their eloquence. They were known for their poetry. They were known for their recitation of verses. Just like today, Germany may be known for its automobiles. Japan may be known for its electronics, world-renowned. If you want this type of thing, you go here. The Arabs at that time were world-renowned for their poetry. And that's one of the reasons that the Quran made such a big impact in the world at that time. Because it took the most eloquent people and gave them a piece of eloquence that was unmatched, unrivaled, and could not be duplicated by anyone. So that's what we're talking about here tonight. We're talking about communication. We're talking about a type of communication that teaches morals, that teaches lessons. So we make the second connection. Islamic expression through hip-hop. A lot of times, some of us, we hear the terms hip-hop, we hear the terms rap. We hear the terms that are associated with the culture in the United States, and we turn away. We have a bad feeling about these things, but oftentimes when you have a bad feeling about something, that means only simply that you're just not that familiar with it. You haven't taken the time to learn about it. So inshallah, that's what we're here to do this afternoon. To talk a little bit about hip-hop. And hip-hop, when we describe it, and I'll let our guests go into the details because that's what they're here. But hip-hop is simply a vehicle. Hip-hop is the small truth. It's the truth with the lowercase t. It's a truth that responds and resounds amongst a certain group of people. And if we want to deliver the message of Islam, and inshallah that's what we're all here for, to people of this culture, we have to do that in a language that people understand. So inshallah tonight we're talking about the vehicle of hip-hop. And the message is Islam. The message of Islam doesn't change. The message of Islam doesn't get converted, changed, or translated. But we're putting it in a new vehicle to deliver it to people who may not have heard of it before. So alhamdulillah, thank everybody for coming this afternoon. And we'll go, and you can see we have the program up on the board, and there's a few changes to the program. Unfortunately, one of our guests, Malik Amir, wasn't able to make it today. He had to cancel at the last minute. But I'd like to introduce our guests. We have Brother Yusuf Abdul Mateen, who's come all the way from Massachusetts. from the East Coast to visit us for a few days. So inshallah, we can give him a big round of applause. And we also have one of our very own, UC Davis alum, Professor A.L.I, who's been putting music together for the last 3 or 4 years. And been working tirelessly. Both of these brothers have been working tirelessly to promote the message of Islam and spread Islamic dawah through their art forms. So a couple of program notes before we get started. There'll be basically 3 sets of performances, spoken word performances. And in between each one of those sets, there'll be a video intermission showcasing a couple of the videos, music videos that these brothers have been putting together. And before each one, there'll be an introduction. Towards the end of the program, we wanted to invite members of the audience for an open mic session. If anybody feels inspired or has anything prepared or wants to come up and say a few words off the top of their head, you'll be welcome to. Come approach me, and then we'll go ahead and get you signed up and make sure that we have enough people to fill the allotted times. So if anybody's interested in doing that, please contact me during one of the sets. And inshallah, at the end, if you guys have questions, comments, we're going to have a question and answer panel discussion about Islamic culture in America and what we can do to support it and help spread the message of Allah. So inshallah, without further ado, to invite Professor A.L.I and Brother Yusuf Abdul Mateen to the stage.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Who do you follow? Who do I follow? He who is a mercy to all his creatures, makes heathens become believers, the barren turn conceivers, gives hope to the eager, and uplifts the meager.